the hate and the commercial break for my love of Mr. Unlimited. I guess y'all are just so cynical and angry that you can't appreciate a person who is genuine and sincere, okay? Well, I have not been made so abrasive by the rigors of life. I still can appreciate someone who embraces challenges with a smile and says cheesy things like, come on, guys, we got this. I'm down for Mr. Unlimited. I want him in New Orleans, Jake, and I don't care almost what you have to give up. And let that be the basis of this conversation, right? Because that is going to be the question. What would you give up for Russell Wilson? Reportedly, the baseline option is 3 first-round picks.
Yep.
It's going to take more than that.
Hell, you gave up 2 for Marcus Davenport.
So already we're exploring the logic that makes this decision very easy. You gave up 2 first-round picks for Marcus Davenport. I mean, just look at your first-round picks, right? Whether it's Marshall, like even the good ones. Don't even mention, like, you don't even have to get into maybe the Cesar Reeves, who's a bit on the edge. Like, let's throw Ramchick, who I think is a future Hall of Famer, maybe the one name that I would be upset about giving up, but like Lattimore, Davenport, Sheldon Rankins. You want to go down the line? You would give up every one of these players to get Russell Wilson. So the thing is, 3 first-round picks, to me, Jake, that is the starting point of this conversation. It's almost how far are you willing to go past that? And look, and I think Nick Underhill, and you know I love New Orleans football, Nick has a great write-up where he basically shuts down this idea that the Saints could not afford Russell Wilson. They can easily make this year's number work. Next year's number would be more problematic, and actually next year's cap is way more problematic for the Saints than this year's.
But we don't know where that number is going to be either.
Exactly. So a lot could still change positively there. And it could be as simple as next year just extending him so that when you extend him and re-sign him, then that first year is like nothing on the books. So just know that it's absolutely possible. Don't listen to any national talking heads that are saying they can't sign Russell Wilson. They 100% can. It's just how much of your future, Jake, are you willing to give up for this quarterback?
I mean, 3 first-round picks, I understand that is a lot. And Zachary inside the chat said you only gave up 1 for Davenport. No, you selected him with 1, and you gave up 1. Yep. GMs consider that 2 first-round picks, right? So would you give up 3? Yeah, you give up 3. Now, what do you have to add? That's the kicker, right? Because you don't want to give up all these draft choices, and then you look and you've got this old veteran roster where you have no cheap contracts. Everybody's on a $2 million plus contract each and every year. That's what happens when you give up all your draft choices, because you have to make up for those positions in free agency. And, some vets, you played 5 years, then $1 million is going to be your minimum, right?
Yeah.
So you have to worry about those type of things as well. But if it's 3 first-round picks and a starter, I still think you look at it. I think
Marshawn Lattimore would be like a perfect name to fit in there. Obviously, offensive weapons, if Seattle was going to trade their quarterback, wouldn't make a ton of sense. For whatever it's worth, even though they were a horrible defense last year, when I think of Seattle, I still think of defense, right? Like, do y'all agree with that? I don't know. Maybe that's my brain being wrong. It kind of feels cultural in Seattle. Defense does a bit. Like, I know that was a lot of the friction last year. I don't know that they want to be as kind of offensive, wide open, free-minded as maybe Russell Wilson wanted them to be. And so I think, okay, so 3 first rounds and Marshawn Lattimore. Go around the room. You doing that? I mean, I think I'm doing that pretty easily.
I mean, that leaves you with just Janoris Jenkins, who's in his 30s, though. I mean, what do you do for your other shutdown corner?
So therein lies the rub. And to go back to Underhill, that's kind of what he said. It's like, what's worse? Having having a team that may be a bit resource strapped, like giving up too much for a great QB, hurting your defense in that way, or having a bad quarterback. And then there is the Jameis Winston factor in all this, which is interesting because is he actually a bad quarterback? Can he be good like the Saints think he could be? How much? Because make no mistake, like the true belief that the Saints hold in their hearts that maybe we do or don't get to see, their true belief that they have in Jameis Winston has a huge impact on this conversation.
That's what I was going to ask y'all. If y'all felt that they feel like we'll put a package together for Russell Wilson, but if they turn it down, we feel confident if we have our guy. Do you think that impacts how they go about putting that package together? Do you think they might be a little bit more selective with the player they kick in with the 3 first-round picks, hypothetically?
Yeah.
Because of their love for Jameis Winston.
I don't feel like
the love we think they have for him.
I don't feel like they're as in desperate of a spot as somebody like the Chicago Bears, right? Because what are the Bears looking at? Mitch Trubisky or is Nick Foles still? I get very confused with the Bears quarterback situation. Is Nick Foles still there?
With the Bears?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Because
sure.
he signed the big contract with Jacksonville. Jacksonville traded into Chicago, so he's still.
So the point being there, though, is that the Bears know they hate all their quarterbacks, right? The Saints maybe think they like Winston, and then on top of that, you have gone 8-1 without Drew Brees and without really stellar quarterback play over the last 2 years. So, like, yes, the Saints are in a position where they can be more selective, but before you get into more like rigmarole, just think about this, Jake. I mean, how exciting would Russell Wilson be in a Saints uniform? A man who's always been compared to Drew Brees, but is like infinitely more athletic. There's the prettiest deep ball out there. You combine him with Sean Payton, you give me a smirk. Like, I mean, how fantastic could Russell Wilson be in this offense?
Well, he'd be great. I mean, he would step in from day one, and you would be MVP level type quarterback in this offense because of what Sean can do with quarterbacks. Because you're right, like he does fit in the Drew mold as far as how accurate he can be. Now Russ can push the ball down the field as well. There's no one that can come on here and say that it would be a bad fit. Now, what you have to give up and how much money he's making, that's where you can have some disagreements. But as far as fit, nobody that knows football could say, no, it's not going to fit there, because he absolutely would, and it fit from day one.
He has like a surprisingly low price tag right now. I think he makes $24 million this year is like his cap, and like 27. I mean, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks making just as much money as Russell Wilson. So I do imagine after you got him, if you did get him, then you would have to sign him to some sort of extension, especially to make that second cap number work. But yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit too thirsty. Maybe I'm a bit too desperate. Maybe I'm just a bit too excitable right now. But it's like I almost don't see a limit of like what I would or would not be willing to give up, like 3 first-round picks and 2 starters. What if it was like 3 first-round picks, Marshawn Lattimore, and let's go with like an exciting young piece, like a David Onyemata.
Yeah.
Like a guy who is maybe developing into one of the premier interior defensive tackles in the league. Do you do that?
You probably still do. I mean, you probably, but you don't, man, you.
But this is where it gets crazy.
You have to be careful. You do. I mean, and two, like we're thinking about this from a fan's perspective. I mean, the Saints could sit there and say, look, to us, Russell Wilson's better than Jameis Winston, right? But Jameis Winston plus our 3 first-round picks and Marshawn Lattimore is more valuable to us. Like, they could have that view just because there is a better player out there because, well, Deshaun Watson's out there too. And we haven't heard that buzz either, right? So, you know, Russ can say the Saints, and we are like, yeah, that makes sense. They're looking for a quarterback. But remember, they love Jameis inside that building, right, wrong, or indifferent. They do love him inside that building. Like, we know that to be true. Like, we've heard it from people who were on that staff who are no longer in New Orleans, okay? So they could say, man, yeah, we'd love to have Russ. If he was a free agent, maybe we go after him, but we cannot give up A, B, and C for him.
Do you think you risk alienating the locker room a little bit if you do trade away some of your kind of favorite locker room guys along with all those resources to bring in a new QB when the team maybe already likes Jameis? I mean,
not when Michael Thomas
seems on board.
Not when Michael Thomas is putting photos of him and Russ in the Pro Bowl together on his Instagram. That lets you know, I saw the report. I like it. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Right now, right?
Hell yeah. That was Mikey T saying, "Come on, let's do it." And if we really wanted to go next level, is that kind of like a slight against Jameis? Not like directly against Jameis, but does that mean that Mike kind of realizes that under Jameis, maybe there could be a bit of a cap on his ceiling versus maybe an elite guy like Russell Wilson? Okay, last question because we got to go to break. Who would you rather leverage the future for, Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson?
Deshaun Watson.
Really?
Oh, quick. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, you got look at the age. That's one part of it. Deshaun's. Look, Russ is great. Russ is top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, Mr. Unlimited.
Deshaun Watson, to me, has the chance to be talked about with the all-time greats if he's put around the right people. I'm talking about the skill set that he has, what he's done, I'd say with less in Houston. I mean, when you look, I mean, he's had some receivers, but he's never really had a dominant running back. Deshaun Watson, to me, is generational type stuff.
Well, let that man out of Houston then. Please, Houston. You are wasting him. Let him go. Get draft picks that you gave up back finally in return. And look, draft picks, if you're the Saints, who needs them? The Rams don't have a pick for like 10 years. And they're still doing fine. Like, who needs draft picks? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Those
The Chargers have had plenty of first-round picks.
Yes, exactly. A lot of top 10 picks.
Yeah.
And what has that done for them? Nada.
7 and 9.
For real, though, actually, the Bears would be kind of scary if they would get Russell Wilson. And
They got some free agent questions, but yes, if they brought a bulk of their players back with that defense.
It's kind of funny, too, because if we're talking this desperately, imagine how the Bears fans feel, where they're looking at Mitch.
I know we got to go. We're talking to Hunt at 7:45. I guarantee you he listened to Chicago Sports Radio today. He'll give us the breakdown of how the Bears fans are feeling.
Hell yeah. There we go. Okay, stick around. Coming up next, we're going to talk to LSU commit Walker Howard here on Off the Bench, so keep it locked right here.